Welcome back to the channel, RacerX here, and today I am in Knoxville, Tennessee at the six-pack drive event, the brand new 2026 Charger six-pack featuring the 550 horsepower Hurricane. Not quite at dealerships yet, but I got a hold of one today. And the reason I am in Knoxville is because I'm getting ready to send this thing on one of the most iconic roads out there, the Tail of the Dragon, and we're gonna see how this performs. I will give you my driving thoughts. Today is going to be an absolute blast. There are lots of other creators out here having fun with the car, and I'm gonna try not to send it down a cliff. We will see what happens. If you guys are brand new to the channel, please hit subscribe. You can find that button over here, and off we go. All right, a bunch of folks are leaving. We got our buddy OC Motivator over here in the orange car. He'll be probably trailing me. This is the car I'm driving today, guys. Beautiful red seats. I'll kind of give you an overview. Demi Bagby is back, actually. She was one of the competitors in the Roadkill Nights, and she's over here ready to go. There are a couple of key differences that distinguish the six-pack from the Daytona, the EV. You can see the hood is the very first thing. It says six-pack right up here. I don't know if you can actually see that or not, but that is pretty cool, and that is actually a functional cooling vent. Here in the front, this thing is designed to move air. With it being a twin-turbo inline six, you can see that they've got air coming in for the brakes. They've got air to cool those turbos, and there's a bunch of different factors that went into play when they designed the front of this car. Obviously, the Daytona being an EV, not as big a deal. Also, the six-piston Brembos on this car, on the six-pack, you can see they are gray in color. They're big old rotors on this thing, big old brakes, and they work really well, as I mentioned. But on the Daytona, they're actually red. On this car, you can see that they're that kind of matte gray. I do really like the carbon fiber pieces they put on here, like right there. A couple other key distinctions. Right here on the Daytona, it does say Daytona. You can see this one says Charger, and you've got two exhaust tips back here. Obviously, with it with an EV in the Daytona, you're not going to have any exhaust there. Here's the driving position in the 2026 Charger six-pack. A very nice place to sit, just like the EV. There are a few subtle differences. You don't have the power shot right here on the steering wheel. Otherwise, basically the same inside here. You do have this really nice suede finish on some of the interior parts. A really nice central infotainment screen. I love the digital display in this. You do get heads-up display in this car as well. Lots of suede finishes up top. Beautiful red seats in this car as well. These are like Alcantara seats. Tons of room in the back seat. Huge sunroof. I mean, a very, very nice place to sit and do business. I do like this pistol grip shifter here as well. Of course, there is the start button, and you do get a wireless charger up here as well. I've been looking forward to driving the ICE-powered version of this car for quite some time. I've driven a whole bunch of the EV versions, both the RT and the Scat Pack. 670 horsepower, that car is a lot of fun to drive. Certainly, I expect this to handle quite a bit different with this high-output Hurricane in it. 550 horsepower, 531 pound-feet of torque. Today should be a lot of fun out there. We've got other creators kind of running through here, but I fully intend on putting this thing through its paces today, listening to this engine, kind of seeing how different it is from the EV. And I really do want to give you my honest thoughts. Is this car worth buying? This car starts out at $55,000. This is a cheaper option than the EV is, and it might be a better option. Here's an opportunity, getting on the highway, headed to Tail of the Dragon. I can kind of let this thing eat a little bit. Not too shabby. Actually, the handling characteristics of this car are completely different than the Daytona. Obviously, that being an EV, you would sort of expect that, but it is kind of cool listening to the turbo noises. They're a little bit faint in this car, but you can definitely hear the turbos just a little bit, but definitely hearing that exhaust coming out the back, knowing that it's not some sort of an artificial sound, a manufactured sound. It is an actual engine sitting in front of me. That is really cool for an enthusiast like me. And if you're unfamiliar with Tail of the Dragon, which is where I'm headed, it is one of the most iconic driving roads in the entire country. It's over 300 curves in just 11 miles, a lot of different pitches and things like that. Enthusiasts from all over the world come to drive Tail of the Dragon. You'll see a lot of Porsches and a lot of cars that really handle well out there. So it'll be interesting to see how a big 4,800 pound muscle car, twin turbo, hurricane car, how this thing actually handles on Tail of the Dragon. It's really interesting that they're having everybody drive this, of all things, in this new car. So I can tell you, just after driving this for a couple of minutes, the driving experience is vastly different than the EV. The EV, if you just blip the throttle a little bit, I mean, it just goes. All that instant power, all that instant torque, very different than this. So when you actually kind of dip into the throttle just a little bit on this, it does feel maybe just a little laggy. Like here's a nice little stretch. If I kind of dip into it a little, it just kind of, yeah, it's a little laggy. But then when you really dip into the throttle on this thing, then the turbos really come alive and you feel this really nice rush of power. So it's just partial throttle. It really doesn't do a whole lot. But boy, you got to dig into the pedal on this thing, and then it becomes very enjoyable, and it gets down pretty good. It actually goes from feeling like a car that doesn't make very much horsepower to a car that makes way more than 550 horsepower. And I will say, it actually feels maybe slightly different, even though it makes more horsepower than, say, like the Grand Wagoneer. I feel like the mid-range on the Grand Wagoneer is pretty good, and I don't know what the difference, why it would be that way. But like I said, this one, once you start digging into the pedal, it really goes. Now, when you talk about the exhaust of this car, very much the same thing. When you're just cruising around, it's actually pretty darn quiet. Yes, you can hear the engine churning under there, but it is very subdued. But when you really dig into the pedal, this engine really comes alive, and you can really hear the exhaust. I was actually surprised at the amount of sound coming out of the back of this thing. I thought it was going to be a little quieter, at least in the car. There's a little more throatiness, a little more aggression than I expected. So I do really like that. Like here's a little curve, for example. Here, listen to it. So yeah, you can definitely hear this car a little bit, and that's kind of nice. Have you ever just been in a car and realized that the GPS system is just messing with you? Because they already plugged this into the GPS for me, but it like took me through like a bunch of loops and back behind Bob's Pond and down a dirt road and under some bridge, and then it spit me back out literally right where I was. All right, here's a sign, 20 miles to Mexico. Golly, sometimes you just got to break out the atlas, see what's going on.
Hell yes.
Well, I guess the GPS managed to sort itself out, because I feel like I'm back on the right track now. I'm back here driving on these rural roads in Tennessee, and it's beautiful back here. It's fall, so you've got all the leaves changing. It's very hilly, and the road is really windy. I'm not even to the Tail of the Dragon yet, but you can definitely tell how much work Dodge put into the suspension of this car, because I'm back here just winding around. Listen to it. And going around these corners, even though this car is not light, it's a 4,800-pound car, it handles the corners really well. Dodge did so much work on the suspension of this car that it feels lighter than it is, which is kind of a nice thing as well. All right, I have just entered the Tail of the Dragon. You can tell because there's a sign that says next 11 miles, and then it does all the little squigglies and 45 upside down McDonald's signs and everything else. So boy, is this road pretty back here. For a heavy car, this thing is so well balanced. I mean, it's not a GT4 RS, don't get me wrong, but for a big heavy muscle car, I mean, if you compare this to like the 2023 Chargers and Challengers, it's like night and day. It's not even close to the same thing. I'm just back here doing hairpin turns. This thing weighs 4,800 pounds. It's having no issue with any of this whatsoever. I don't feel like the car is unstable. The car doesn't want to like move around on me. The butt end isn't light. Not a ton of understeer in by my estimation. Now I do have it in four-wheel drive, which helps. Look at this right here, all the way around this, straight up the hill. Listen to it. Oh yeah, this is awesome. The views on this road are absolutely breathtaking. Essentially, it's just kind of like switchbacks down a mountain. It's super windy. I've got just a pretty big drop off here to my right. Road is pretty narrow. It's very curvy, but this is a ton of fun back here. And if you've got some sort of a performance vehicle, I highly encourage you to come out and try this Tail of the Dragon. This is an absolute blast back here. I'm really impressed with the way this car is handling these curves. Guys, I went ahead and pulled off on the side of the road. They've got all these little pull-offs on the Tail of the Dragon. Just look at this, how beautiful it is here. course, it is fall, so you're going to get that piece of it as well. But you can see the dam actually way down there, and you get a little glimpse of what it's really like out here. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm not gonna lie, this is one curvy ass road. I see exactly why they call it Tail of the Dragon, but I am back here just ripping it. Listen to this thing. And this thing handles the corners really well. I fully expected this car to be really floaty, and maybe to just a really small degree it is, but a car this big should not take corners this well. I mean, I'm not even slowing down that much in some of these corners. Obviously, the really tight hairpins, you're going to go straight into the forest if you don't. But I'm just amazed. It is doing a good job back here, as big and as wide as it is, of making short work of these curves. I mean, look at this little spot here. Oh, we got the tires. Oh, this all-wheel drive system does work. If that was a rear-wheel drive, if this was a rear-wheel drive car, that would have been all over the place back there. But all-wheel drive, no problem. One other quick thing I will mention is the brakes on this car feel more than adequate on a road like this. You would think that the brakes would be really like soft and spongy, but they feel adequate. They don't feel crazy harsh or anything like that, but even on these curvy roads, and I'm putting this car down through here pretty good. Matter of fact, a couple of times, like I said, if I wasn't in all-wheel drive, it might have got a little sketchy because I was really pouring it down through there. But the brakes feel really good on this car. You know, big 6-piston Brembos, they definitely get the job done. Well, I'm glad I got to bring you some of the footage of me driving the new 6-pack Charger on the Tail of the Dragon. What an epic drive. I really did enjoy it. You can tell that this car is 1,000 pounds lighter than the EV. I mean, I put the EV through its paces up on a mountain road, which was also very, very windy, and I was impressed with that. But this one definitely feels lighter on its feet than that car does. Yes, it's still 4,800 pounds, as I mentioned, but it kind of hides some of that weight with how good the suspension is. I mean, you can really be aggressive in the curves with this all-wheel drive system, which is fantastic. I was really getting after it, and I had the most confidence kind of going through the corners in this thing. 550 horsepower is definitely nothing to sneeze at. Now, is this thing as fast in a straight line as the EV? I don't think it's quite as fast as the 6-pack Charger Daytona. Just not in a straight line, and certainly like power under the curve, that instantaneous horsepower, it's not quite there compared to the EV. But then again, you might say this one has a little bit more of a soul because you actually have a true engine. And the people that were behind me, kind of when I was getting after it, I would come out of all these little curvy sections, it'd be a little straight shot, and I would kind of goose it. And everybody behind me was like, man, that thing sounds rowdy. I was amazed at how much noise that Joker was making. And from in here, you do hear it. I think at Roadkill Nights, a lot of people say the car is just way too quiet. They need more noise. But from in here, like I said, when you're cruising around, you don't hear it much. But when you're getting on it, you can hear this exhaust. And it sounds pretty good.
A few moments later.
All right, well, there is a little twist in the plot because one of Knoxville's finest is right behind me. And he's pulling me over. He said it was because improper lane change. There was a lady cruising the left lane doing like 50. So I went around her. And apparently, I don't know. I used my signal. I'm not sure what's going on. Hopefully this won't take all day. But yeah, I haven't had a speeding ticket in a long time. Well, as it turns out, the officer is a big Dodge fan. Super cool guy, actually. And he gave me this. Just a warning, luckily. Now I'm headed about 45 minutes north to the drag strip. They rented an 8-mile drag strip for us. I don't think they're going to do a lot of prep on this, but this would be a good opportunity for me to just cruise in the car, listen to it a little bit, see how it drives on the highway. I might, check out the sound system a little bit. I'm enjoying driving the car for sure. Of course, when I get to the drag strip, I am curious to see how this thing launches. I'm being told that you can stall this thing up to like 3,400 RPM on the foot brake, which is wild to me because I know in my Demon, like 1,700, you're pushing through the brakes. My Hellcat, I could get as much as like 2,000, but 3,400 is a lot. So we'll see what kind of 60-foot we can get, basically on a no-prep drag strip, but all-wheel drive in our favor. So that should be interesting. I'm not expecting a ton of mile an hour. Like I said, there is kind of a weight portion of this that you have to be aware of. If you're a drag racer, I mean, weight is weight and power is power, but it should be a lot of fun just to see how it runs.
Eventually.
Well, despite everything, I still managed to find the drag strip, although it is getting a little bit dark. Gets dark pretty early in this part of the country. But anyway, we're going to go check in. I think they have different cars for us to run other than the one I was driving earlier today, and we'll see what it'll run. You can see we've got cars staged up here. I'm actually not going to be driving the car they assigned me to. They've got certain ones assigned for the drag strip. But everybody's out here running, having a good time. David just got done. And I should be up here shortly. We'll see what it will do. $797. All right, guys, I am all set and ready to go down the drag strip. I've got my beautiful Dodge helmet on right here. Have to run this car a little different. I'm used to foot braking. When I do the burnout, I don't typically use launch control. I was using launch control on my 170 and the car was slower. This car being a small displacement, I'm being told that it's much better in terms of time, ET, to actually use the launch control in this. So we'll go ahead and use launch control. We'll use line lock, all the tools they give us. We'll see what it does. Love it. Oh, that launch is, or the shift is like not ideal.
Because the front tires didn't have as much heat in them. That's why it did that little pop at first and second.
Oh, I
second
see.
Third.
Yeah, that little shift it did right there really kind of cost us. You know, you want it smooth. All right, guys, that was not very good. It had a little bit of a weird shift in there, and we did get a little bit of spin off the line as expected with street tires. That was an 8.2 in the 8th, so we better do better on this next one. I know we can get a little more out of it. With all the driver aids, you know, with using the launch control, it takes a lot of the driver out of it, to be honest, but you know what, it's all for fun, and it's just to kind of get an experience in the car. So we'll see what this next one does. All right, guys, pass number 2. We'll go ahead and get lined up. We're going to do it without a burnout this time. Oh my goodness, the hop. It felt like that was a smooth launch.
Yeah.
But the shift was not good.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's because there's too much heat in the transmission.
Well, so when you get too much heat in the transmission, you won't even notice that because it'll just be slow all around.
Okay, got it.
What it's doing, and we've been trying to deal with this, is it's just the front wheels are spinning too much, and that's when it'll just kick and upshift.
Got it.
To eliminate the wheel spin. So it'll automatically upshift, and that's the drop that you're feeling first to second, second to third.
Yeah, I mean, because that one felt like that one was much smoother.
Yeah.
So I felt like the time was going to be better, but then it hiccuped so bad between the shifts.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot we can do about that.
Right.
That's in the, I assume that's in the torque management.
Correct.
8.2.
Again. Wow.
8.2 again. I just don't know. I don't think it's going to get a lot better with it doing that hiccup. And I don't know, I mean, is there anything we can do to keep it from, I mean, it's really dropping the nose there between 2-3.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys, we reeled off a series of like 8.2s, which wasn't good. The last one felt smoother. But anyway, we're going to try pass 3. I'm guessing we're going to run an 8.2. There's not a whole lot we can do about it. So we'll see what it does. Don't drop the nose hole. we spun between the shifts. Oh, that is so strange.
Yeah.
The 2-3, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
That's okay. Car still feels pretty good.
Yeah.
It's just really, it's really pulling some timing there between 2 and 3.
Yeah, and the engineers had it plugged in earlier, and they could see it, and it was just getting too much front wheel spin when it would do it.
Really?
So that's what I was trying to do, is maximize, you know, what you want.
All right, so I have just transitioned over to the Charger Daytona EV. We're just gonna get one pass in this one, just to kind of get a little bit of a different baseline. Definitely a lot more quiet when you start this one up. A little more horsepower on this, and I don't expect that drop on this one. Obviously, this is a very smooth vehicle. So I expect this one to be a little faster, hopefully somewhere in the 750 range. Not gonna set the world on fire, but it's just a smoother vehicle to drive. Keep it over here. All right, yeah, much smoother.
Yeah. And you even heard the wheels spinning.
You can still spin, yeah.
Forever.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, and that's the front wheels we're hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is just very different. All right, guys, that one was a 764, so about a half second faster in the EV than on the six-pack. Now, it's pretty much what I expected. It's more power, and then, of course, it's a much more linear pull with this car. So, to be expected. Both cars handled great. It's just fun getting out here and putting it down through there. And that wraps up my day with the new 2026 Charger 6-pack, internal combustion this time. I feel like this will resonate a lot more with my audience. And I want to give you my final thoughts because I got to do a lot in the car today. I've been in the car all day, got to take it over to Tail of the Dragon, which is an epic road. And the car really did perform admirably. I mean, the suspension in this car is so good, you cannot tell that it's almost 5,000 pounds. I really like the all-wheel drive system in this. It gives you so much confidence. And for $55,000, I feel like that is a really good deal. Of course, you can spec one of these up closer to $70,000 if you add all the bells and whistles, probably kind of like this one is spec'd out. But it's a lot of car for the money. 550 horsepower. I really like the Hurricane power plant. A couple of other takeaways I had. It does feel maybe just a little bit laggy, especially when you compare it to the EV. You know, you get all that instant power and torque in the EV. This one, you really kind of have to get down on the throttle before those turbos really start to kick in and you feel a lot of the power. Lower RPMs, it does feel just a little bit laggy. And on the drag strip, you saw that the car got a little bit hot. It was definitely dropping the nose between 2 and 3, which was costing me some time on the drag strip. And I realize not everybody is going to use it for that. But if you really look at this package overall, right, it sounds a little better than I thought it was going to. It handles better than I thought it was going to. I love the interior of the car. The seats are beautiful. This revised interior, I have so many good things to say about this car. I think the only thing that would keep me maybe from buying a car like this would be the thought of maybe them putting a Hellcat in this later, because then you're getting a lot more upfront torque. And that to me seems pretty appealing as well. But overall, the car handled great. I love the looks of the car. I am officially losing my light once again. I do fly back out to Tampa in the morning, so a very short stint here in Knoxville, but kudos to Dodge. I know they work so hard to put on these events, and they really do a good job of making it the best driving experience possible. I was in the fourth wave of influencers, so they had people literally all week coming in from all over the place, and it'll be interesting to hear everybody's take on this. My take, relatively positive on this car. I kind of knew it would be. Like I said, it's not everything 100% positive, but I feel like there are a lot of really good things with this car, and I feel like it hits a pretty solid price point that might appeal to a lot of people. I feel like if you put an exhaust on the back of this car, that would liven it up maybe just a little bit more for you guys that really like additional sound. But overall, really good marks from me. Once again, thank you again, Dodge, for having me out, and I will see you guys on the next one. So until then, RacerX.